Your opposite number is Boris Johnson, the current Foreign Secretary. I don't know if he will be by the time this video goes out, but how would you describe Boris Johnson?
I mean, he's very ambitious and he's charming, and he has kind of turned being an upper-class buffoon into an art form. But I do wish that he would spend more time focusing on, there's a lot of world going on. You know, you kind of get the impression that Boris is sort of sitting up at night waiting for Donald Trump's tweets to find out what British foreign policy ought to be. Really, we ought to have a louder voice in the world. And we ought to be doing that by having somebody with a bit of gravitas who actually is immersing themselves in world politics and thinking, right, the British can make a positive contribution here. We can talk to this people. We can do this. We can show this leadership. None of that is happening.
I mean, Johnson used to be a constituent of yours, didn't he?
He did.
That's somewhat
surreal.
Everybody
lives in his LinkedIn in the
end. Indeed. I mean, many people felt that he backed Brexit for cynical careerist reasons. Like, he wrote 2 different columns, one back in May. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that, above all else, he's driven by cynical manoeuvring?
I don't understand the internal workings of the Tory party. I don't.
They do.
And, but I think that if you look at Brexit, if you look at Boris's behaviour, if you look at Theresa May's behaviour, I suspect that it's all about internal Tory party politics. It's not them. They talk amongst themselves. They don't talk to Britain, let alone talk to the world.
Are they in civil war as a government, do you think?
I suspect they probably are, but they're so much better at covering it up than we are. You know, if you just kind of spill coffee down someone's front in the Labour Party, it's on the front page of The Observer. So it actually needs to be much worse to get any media attention at all, to actually be leaked into the media. So the fact that we're getting even a little bit, even an inkling, shows that, yeah, they really are at war. But they have been, I mean, that's what Brexit has been about since the very start. You know, why did Cameron go off to Europe in order to get a better deal? Because of internal fighting in the Tory party. He didn't do it in order to really get a better deal for Britain, but in order to get some sort of deal that could keep his Tory party together. Why did he say he wanted a referendum? To keep the Tory party together to get through the general election, not because he thought that he'd ever have to have one. You know, and so it goes on, and so it goes on, you know, and a year on, they still don't have any idea of what they want to do on Brexit, because they can't agree amongst themselves, let alone persuade the British public that what they're doing is a good idea. They can't even agree amongst themselves.
I mean, do you think the problem is this country's kind of been thrown into a mess because of disastrous partisan manoeuvring by the Tories? It's reduced us to an international laughingstock, surely. That's what the Tories... I mean, what do you think?
I think that's right. My message to them is, like, all right, get on with it. Do the best you can with some sort of deal. For heaven's sake, stop fighting. Get yourself a unified position. But do remember the interests of Britain more than the Tory party and whether you're going to be the next leader of the Tory party. Get through that and then do no more harm. Keep the status quo, and then let's have an election. Let the grown-ups come in, and, you know, and Keir and I and Barry, you know, can negotiate this properly. And actually with our eye all the time on safety and security of British people and the economy. And that's what we'll do. And that's what we'll do. And people voted to leave. There was not on that list, and we want this, and we want to be out of the European Court of Justice, and we want to be... No. So
that's all up for grabs still, isn't it, in terms of what...
As far as we're concerned, there's nothing off the table. Nothing's off the table. What we need to do is negotiate the best deal. And we've not had anybody negotiating with that at the forefront of their mind until now. We have just had Tories with the forefront of their mind. Either I want to keep hold of my position as leader of the party, or I want to be the next leader of the party. That's what it's been about.
Isn't the other danger? I mean, Islington is a decisively one of the most pro-Remain parts of Britain. But other Labour supporting areas go up to Doncaster or Hull, about 70% vote to leave.
Yeah.
They think they've got their country back. They're loving all this Brexit. Yeah. If now Labour's position is at least in the transitional period to stay in the customs union and the single market,
right.
Isn't it dangerous? Some of those people might go, these people are trying to stop Brexit. I don't want to vote for them anymore.
Yeah, well, we're not. I mean, the point is we're not. We voted for Article 50. You know, we have accepted that we need to leave the European Union. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, there are a minority of Labour MPs who will fight no matter what, but they are absolutely a minority. You know, I speak on behalf of the mainstream of the Labour Party, and frankly, most of our voters who either voted to leave or now accept that we have to leave because of the referendum. But now the question is, what's our ongoing relationship? And that is, you know, we have to make a whole load of choices about that, but we have to do it in a sensible way.
Do you feel sorry for Theresa May?
Sometimes I do.
I mean, is she being held? Why do you feel sorry for her?
Sometimes I do.
Why do you feel sorry for her?
Well, I just look at her and just think she looks dreadful. She looks dreadful. She had a referendum. She called for it, wanting to get this great mandate. She got exactly the opposite. And it's as if she's being held hostage in number 10 until they can think of something better to do. So on a personal level, I feel sorry for her. On a political level, I think that she's nasty. I think that she is prepared to let other people pay the price, and she doesn't try to speak or help the whole of the country. She talks about it, but she doesn't do it. And that, I think, is unforgivable.
And
I mean, the people here, need to have a Prime Minister who, when she closes her eyes, thinks of people like this. Not just the richest and most privileged, but the people who struggle, whose every day is a struggle.
Well, when she stood on the steps of Downing Street, when she first became Prime Minister, that's what she spoke about. She spoke about the people here.
Yeah, she did, yeah. Yeah, and she's done bugger all about it. I mean, she's done nothing about it. You have to judge people by their actions, don't you? I mean, what has she done by way of her actions that's actually helped? Nothing. Nothing. They are completely inadequate. They are incapable of doing anything domestically, and they're making a hash of things internationally. They can hold on to power as long as they like, but they're going. Their time will come.
Do you think they're panicking? Do they seem panicking?
Of course they are. Of course they are. They have no idea. Personally, I think that Brexit is the same sort of split as those people who studied history remember the Corn Laws.
Yeah.
The Corn Laws split the Tory party. This splits the Tory party.
Do you think they could split apart as a party, a literal split?
I think they could. And I think it's really interesting to see them going through this very crisis of identity that we were supposed to be going through. And yet we've kind of pulled ourselves together, and I stand and watch. And as I say, if it wasn't for the fact that they were in charge of the country at the moment, I'm afraid I'd laugh.